Hello, everybody in my Love Left Me Forever audience, friends and supporters, and those who don't support me. I thought I'd do another video. I'm getting to the point where I'm not going to do like I did last year, which is wait and wait forever. It's really never no right time. I did hear one speaker on YouTube one day say you can't wait until you feel like doing something or you never get it done. So the difference between the me that you see now and the one last year, when I first started my channel, Love Left Me Forever, actually I think I started in 2018, and it was strictly about the Course in Miracles. And I'm going to create another channel to deal with that. I'm not going to talk about the Course in Miracles anymore on this channel. I might mention it, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to create a separate channel. So the difference between me then and now is that person hated himself. When I created the Love Left Me Forever channel, I despised the person you're looking at right now. And I did it to hurt me. I did it to make myself feel like shit. And I did it to punish myself. It was a narcissistic act against myself. And it was also designed to shame people in my life that I felt had hurt me. And they did hurt me, make no bones about it. The Wayne that you see now, the me that you see now, is a new person with hope, who, although still has moments of anger and feelings of rage and injustice, I am a person with hope, and I'm no longer going to be that old person. So this new version is going to go forward and have a positive outlook as much as I can. I'm still going to talk about the negative and the ugly, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But so this is the new version of me, and see if I've missed anything here. My focus on is now. Before, the focus was there's nothing I can do to change, and that I'm stuck forever in this shitty reality. So the new focus is I'm going to do something about my shitty life, the one that you've seen for the every how many years you followed me. I'm no longer going to be that person, and I demonstrated that it's possible when on December 30th I was able to meet a very attractive, professional, clean woman, and I had a very valid, positive, mutual sexual encounter without any funds, any money being exchanged, any favors other than the sex itself. And there's people on this channel watching this that can't stand it. They can't stand that I was successful, and they're trying to figure out any way. They call her a whore. They call her a call girl when she wasn't. They just can't figure it out. They say, oh, it's just a stroke of luck. The old guy finally lucked out. Well, I promise you it wasn't luck. But before I go ahead, I want to say that I've got many more supporters than the people who put me down. And I can't thank all of you at the same time. There's just too many of you to thank. But you can look at my the likes versus dislikes, and you'll see that most of my likes are 94, 95%, 100%. So you're outnumbered. Those that hate me and despise me and think I'm sick and twisted and all that, you're outnumbered. I made a decision that you're going to stay on my I said recently I was going to delete people like that. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave those comments up. Now, if YouTube deletes them, that's their decision. So basically what I want to say, every time that you recoil, R-E-C-O-I-L, every time that you recoil from somebody that you hate, like me, you recoil from another human being that you despise, what you're really recoiling from is yourself. You can only see in another person what already exists in yourself. So when you hate me, you hate yourself. You don't have to agree with me. But when you recoil and say things, he's a child molester, he's going to be in prison, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, he deserves to be there. You are talking to yourself because you are that person as well. I have never had any kind of attraction to children. I have no feelings of molestation. I've had no history of sexual perversions at any time in my life. And I have no intention of going that route. It's something that just does not interest me. Other than the obsession with porn and things like, legalized porn, 18 and older. Now, I am not putting down those of you who have these perversions. I don't know, peeping Tom, fixation with children. I am not going to put you down, and I'm not going to condemn you. That's one thing I didn't like about Alan Roger Curry. And I wasn't even going to talk about him today. Like I said, I have forgiven him for the most part, but he said that he wouldn't even coach men. He wouldn't even coach men who had a history of abusing women, raping women, or hurting women. Now that's a cop out. Those are the men that you need help. Those are the ones he should be coaching. So not the coach that I don't agree with. That made him Alan look weak. So I don't agree with you there, Alan. If you can hear me from heaven, wherever you are, but I don't condemn those of you who do these things. Okay, I know that you need help, and I know you're unhealed, and you're lonely, and you're frustrated. Okay, so I won't condemn you. I don't have a solution, but I'm not going to join with Roger Alan Curry on that one. I keep saying Roger Allen. It's Alan Roger Curry, because he said he refused to work with people like you. So anyhow, I'm still on the high from the sexual encounter on December 30th. And like I said, this was a spiritual journey. It took a lot of thoughts. It took a lot of pain. And I guarantee you that these people who hate me, you're not going to pay that price. You're not willing to do what it took for me to be that 67-year-old guy with that female, okay, for an hour and a half, who let me do anything I wanted to do. I am up to, the last time I checked, 600, the last time I checked, I'm up to 608 subscriptions, and I'm thankful for that. Another thing that comes to mind today, losing important people in your life, or my life, for example, losing important people that you loved or who loved you is the most traumatic thing in this world that you will ever experience. It's more traumatic than the Vietnam War if you were in it. It's more traumatic than the 9/11 terrorist attack. It's more traumatic if you're a female and were raped, or male. So losing people. And I told you one time the story 44 years ago of a woman named Bonnie, and that video has not been put back up. She was the last relationship the only relationship I had. It lasted 2.5 years, and she left in one day after I had become angry. I didn't do anything to her, but that relationship, losing that relationship, was the worst day of my life, and it created PTSD. And never been able to form a connection with a female like that ever again. And my dating life, my sex life was over at age 26, except for that time I mentioned in 1997 when I was 40 at the sex club. So losing relationships is what causes mental illness. When you don't have supportive relationships, or you lose the people recoil from you who no longer like you or trust you, even if you've done things that may warrant it. That is what the cause of all suicide is. Broken relationships. Homicide is the cause of broken relationships. Separation from those that you feel have betrayed you. I probably should just do a whole video on that, but a lot of men on here still say that sex is not important. So let me talk to you about a psychologist named Abraham Maslow, and I don't have any way of putting a diagram up. You can Google. I want y'all to Google this on homework. Google Abraham Maslow, Maslow, hierarchy of needs, and you should find a triangle that pops up. And this psychologist was back in the early 1900s. And he had a hierarchy of needs. He says, a man cannot become himself. He cannot reach his potential. He cannot find success, true success, unless he masters the lower needs. And I don't have that hierarchy pulled up right now, but the bottom level of the triad, it's like a triangle, and at the bottom is your bodily needs, like for food and water, shelter, and rest. And he also includes sex. Some of his triangles don't. So basically, sex he has as a lower need. A lower need is not a need, or it's just as important as the most highest need, which is human connection. So until you meet, his philosophy was, if you don't meet these, then once you get those needs met, then you can go up to the next step. And I should have had this pulled up, but the bottom line is like 4 or 5 steps before you can reach this, what he calls the actualization, where you're this fully embraced human being. Your relationships are great. Your sex life is great. Your finances are great. You're making contributions. You're producing. You're esteemed. People like you and love you. You don't get to that stage. You don't reach that state without first satisfying these lower needs. You can't bypass these needs. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's your homework. Is to look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm going to tell you about being a nice guy, why it doesn't work. Like I said, I'm going to talk to you about two women. One's named Becca, and one's named Devon. Now, these women are 30-something. One's 30, one's 33. So 5 years ago, when I first moved to Tennessee, I started getting my hair cut by Devon, and she did a great job. She didn't cut this hair. I got a new stylist, but she cut my hair for 4 years, and she was really, really good. She wasn't that attractive a woman. She was married to some kind of a real estate guy, but she always cut my hair. She says, "Now go out and get yourself a girlfriend." She knew I was lonely, and I always felt good about her. So that's why I went back to see her. I knew she was always going to give me some compliment. So then, about let me get the dates right: 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 years ago, when I had the restraining order, after I reported I was having mental health problems at my work, and they fired me because of it, I told her about all these things. And she knew about it because I posted them on Facebook. I told the story on Facebook, which may not be real smart. But the point is, she still cut my hair. And, she knew about it. And I always tipped her like $15, $20. But her and I never spoke outside of work. Her and I never spoke outside of the salon. So, but I looked forward to seeing her every 8 weeks. And she was, she would listen, and she supported me. She said, there's always both sides of the story. So I don't know whether she believed me or not. But the point is, I never felt threatened by her. And then she had a friend that worked there that cut my hair named Becca. And this one cut my hair. She wasn't quite as, I didn't like the way she cut it as good. But the other woman, Devon, she took a time off for about a year. So then, about a year ago, I guess, the last time that Devon cut my hair, I was still raw from that restraining order. I had gone, the restraining order had been renewed back in November 2023. So that's probably the last time I saw her. And I told her what had happened, that they had found an article on Medium where I talked about what happened, and they came after me again. And so Devon said something to me. She says, "I'm not worried about you." She said to herself, if I or Becca, if we ever felt you were, she said, if we ever felt you tried something, this is what got me. She would have said, if we ever felt you were being inappropriate, it wouldn't have hurt. But Devon said, if you ever tried something on, she said, if you ever tried something on us, we'd put you in your place. Or we'd let you know. Now that hurt like hell. That hurt like hell. Now, I was a coward, and I didn't speak up and say, hey, I really don't appreciate that. So I walked out of there hurt, paid my bill. That's the last time I saw her, and I can live with it. So what I should have said when I was paying for my haircut, and what I wish I would have said a year ago was, and she cut my hair for 5 years. I said, I want to bring you up to date on something. That's what I would like to say to her. Let me bring you up to date on something. First of all, I'm not attracted to you sexually. And I'm not attracted to Becca. Even though they're 30-something females, they both were overweight. And they just didn't really do anything for me sexually or nothing at all. So let me kind of bring you up to date. I'm not really attracted to you or Becca. And what that means is, I wouldn't let you suck my you-know-what. And I don't want to fuck you. Now, I know it's hard to believe that I don't want you to suck my ding-dong, and I don't want to fuck you. So, I just want you to know you're not quite that important. I know you think that you're God's gift to men, and that you think that men just can't help but being fools and throw themselves at you. But I'm not that guy. So I think I think we got it settled now. I think we understand each other, and I'll see you in 8 weeks for the next haircut. That's what I did not say, and that's what I should have said. So now I've said it to y'all. How I got that woman in Atlanta was I let her choose me. So I pretty well know. It's just this is good news, by the way. This is not bad news. We don't have any control over getting a woman, especially my age, and even you guys, 18, 20, I don't know. You don't really have any control. The only way you can have control over having sex with a woman is force. It's what Alan Roger Curry would be like mode 4, date rape, putting alcohol, actual rape, torture, confinement. These like women who are sex trafficked. That's force. That's the only way you can get guaranteed sex is through coercion, force. So, but for those of us who still have some sanity and who want to be moral, stay out of jail, and not harm others, you don't have any control, but you have massive freedom to take action, to make it more likely that you'll be chosen. And that's what I've learned. Them not giving up control doesn't mean giving up women. It means you're just simply giving up when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and with whom. And so then in the meantime, you're out working on improving what they call game, which I don't like that word, but you're working on yourself. You're working on your dating profile, adding a new picture, upgrading the profile. You're working on your diet. You're approaching a woman you see out in public. You're doing things. You're taking steps, micro actions. And you haven't given up control. You're just putting yourself out there. It's kind of like I had an uncle that used to go fishing with him in South Georgia in the Altamaha River. And I would fish with one reel. Because I was like 14. I couldn't handle more than one reel. And they had these big heavy sinkers and would catch these giant catfish or these big catfish. Well, my uncle, he was in his 50s. He had 5 reels. He'd throw 5 reels out there, and somehow he could keep up with all the bites. I remember one time a whole reel went over the side of the boat because the fish, you couldn't get to it. But the point is, the more lines you got out in the water, the more actions you take, the more likely that you're going to get a bite. So I was on fling for 3 years before I got a bite. Well, no, I had one other female I chatted with, but it never even got to the meeting stage, and I just finally unfriended her. Found out she was living in a homeless shelter. So the point is, you still take these actions, and that's what I did. I kept taking actions. I maintained my diet. I stayed off of. I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat fast foods, and I got my weight down now, close to 173. So that's what you have to do: is give up control and wait till you get a signal, or wait for her to make the signal. And of course, obviously, the better looking you are, the younger you are, more likely you're going to get a lot more opportunities. But it doesn't mean you're out of the game at 67 or 70. I've done proven that. Desperation is a killer. There's a woman that's reached out to me from my hometown that I grew up in. I never knew her back in those days. I'm going to turn this computer back on because the light helps my screen. And she started reaching out. I was so moved by your videos, and I put the sexual encounter on Facebook, but I didn't go graphic there. And she'd been calling me now for about a week. So now all of a sudden she's kind of backed off. It seems like I just got off the phone with her for an hour, so everything's fine. She is a person that has no boundaries. She's my age. She's a person that lets everybody take her time. So I thought she was scared of me now. I thought maybe she had heard something and didn't want to talk to me no more. Well, that's not the case. So I almost got desperate and started reaching out and going to send her messages on Messenger. That's what I would have done last year. I'm concerned I'm not hearing from you. Are you mad at me? Are you scared of me now? That's what I would have done. Nope. I just took my time. I took a shower. I watched some videos, and I'm going to let her make the first move to get me back. And she finally called me. So that's the new me. Desperation is going to kill you every time. If you come off desperate, women, they're going to run. It doesn't mean anything bad about you. It just means they don't want to see desperation. Well, you don't want to see desperation from them either. I mean, unhealthy desperation. You want them to, come on to you and show interest. But if they come up here, please, 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 please love me. Please, please, please take care of me. You're not going to want that. I don't care who you think you. I don't care how desperate you are. So anyhow, that's the new me. That's a new behavior that I have come up on. Give me just a second here. The past reasons, I already did that one. I think I'm getting pretty good. You're recording. Hang on. The Becca and Devin story was very important for me to tell. Oh, yeah. I asked a woman on a date about 24 years ago. When I first moved from Florida, I moved to Brunswick, Georgia. And her name was Darlene. And she was about 45 and I was 45. And she worked at a flooring store. And I worked there for about a month, and I kept watching her and looking at her, and we talked. She's kind of a heavy-set woman, but she seemed down to earth, and she said she had a boyfriend, but they were separated on and off top. So I said, well, I think she might be somebody I can approach for a date. Not a mode. I didn't know what mode 1 was. I'm just going to ask her if she wants to get together on a date or a meal, and I was scared still. So one day after work, in this carpet store, it's in Brunswick, Georgia. I was a salesman. She was one of the office girls. About 5 o'clock, she walks to the front door and she starts going out. So I jump up and go out the front door with her. She did not know I was behind her. And she always seemed so calm, always composed. And I said, hey, Darlene. I went, hey, Darlene. And she was about maybe 10 foot from me. And I'll never forget it. She spun around and looked at me. And she had absolute terror, absolute horror in her eyes when she saw me behind her standing there. Broad daylight. There's no danger. People in the store. She had no idea what I was doing there. And she was terrified. And I should have aborted right there. I said, never mind. I said, hey, why don't we get together sometime? And just exactly something's what I said. Can we get together sometime and go out and have dinner or something? And I'm going to do the dramatization. She goes, no! I felt like shit. I wanted to crawl under a stone. And then she turned and walked off. I felt like I'd been hit in the face with a shotgun, 12-gauge shotgun blast. I was there in that town for 8 years and never asked another woman. Never had a date with a single female. 8 years. The very next day, we're back to work. She's talking to me like nothing happened. Joking. I don't even know why I kept talking to her. We were joking about this overweight guy named Francis who worked in the other office, and I kept joking about one day they're going to put you in the office. You got to work in the office with him. Never said a word about what happened the day before when she yelled at me. So even Alan Roger Curry says, being nice to women does not guarantee that you will not receive harsh rejections, and that was a harsh rejection. So a lot of people say, what do I do? That's why. You don't get what you want from a woman by being nice. You don't get what you want from a woman by being brutal and ugly. But mode 1, or asking women for pussy, or asking them directly within 90 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes, whatever, and just saying, hey, I'm interested in getting together for a sexual experience with you. That is not being ugly. That is not being brutal. That is not being harassing. It would be if you ask them once and then you kept coming back every day. And you don't never do this at work, by the way. You don't do this on your job. Somebody passed message to me, but I'm not going to look at it. I want to end this video in just a second anyway. It was that woman I just told you about, the one that I was afraid was going to ghost me. Oh yeah, we had a class reunion meeting today. So that's probably what she was messaging me on. let me see what it says. What about y'all here? Oh, never mind. Okay. Forget bonus. It's just something else. But we had a class reunion meeting today. Of course, I wasn't there. 600 miles. And I don't know what they're going to be discussing. So she's going to help me find out what it is. And then once I find out it was about me, and if they bar me from coming, I'm going to post a live video on Facebook. And I want to post the that incident report from the police and tell people my side of the story. So I'm still having trouble knowing how long I can do a video, so I don't want to go much past 25 minutes. So I think it's probably going to be enough for right now. The way you get a woman is 4 components, and this is anything to do in life, and I'll come back and talk about it later. The most important component, you got to have you got to have desire. I mean, a massive amount. You got to feel this desire in your gut. If you don't have desire, you're dead in the water. You've got to desire it more than anything, and then you got to develop the belief that you can have it, and you got to take the action I talked about, the little steps, massive actions, and then you got to sit back and expect it to happen. I'm going to go now, so this video don't get cut off, and then if I've missed anything, I'll come back later. Let me know what you think.